AITA for agreeing that I wasn't good enough for my girlfriend, then dating someone more attractive? Hello, everyone. Maybe some of you will relate, or maybe you'll think I'm crazy. Either way, this is what happened. I'm Jacob, a 29-year-old man, and until recently, I was in what I thought was a solid relationship with my girlfriend, Madeline, a 27-year-old woman. We were together for about 2.5 years. We met through mutual friends at a party. She was easily the most attractive woman I had ever dated. The kind of woman who makes every head turn when she enters a room. I'm not going to lie, I felt pretty lucky to be with her. For the first year, everything was great. She would bring me to social events, parties, and networking things. I didn't love that scene, but I loved being with her, so I went. She would introduce me as her boyfriend with a proud smile, and I felt like I was living a fantasy. Here was this gorgeous woman who wanted to be with me. Jacob, the software developer, who would rather spend a Friday night coding than at a trendy bar. Looking back now, I see warning signs I ignored. Like how she always insisted we take separate Ubers to arrive at events in style, or how she'd get annoyed if I wore something too casual, even for a weekend coffee run. You have to step up your style game, she'd say. I can't be seen with someone who looks like they shop at Target. I started spending more money on clothes. I got a better haircut, even joined her expensive gym. I told myself I was just being a good boyfriend, but really, I was trying to become someone I thought was worthy of her attention. The gym membership alone was $200 a month, more than I had ever spent on fitness. But Madeline insisted it was important for me to be seen in the right places. The comments started becoming more frequent around our second year together. She'd make jokes about how I was punching above my weight, or how her friends couldn't believe she was still with me. At first, I laughed it off. She wasn't wrong. Objectively, she was more attractive than me, but eventually, it started to sting. "You're so lucky, I don't care about looks," she said once while we were getting ready for her company's holiday party. "Most girls wouldn't even give you a second glance." That one hit hard, but I just nodded and adjusted my tie. I had bought a new suit for that party. I spent almost $1,000 because I wanted to look good for her, but apparently, it didn't matter how much I spent. To her, I'd always just be the guy who got lucky. The worst part was how she acted around other people. At parties or work events, she was always scanning the room, making sure everyone saw us together, but not because she was proud to be with me. It was as if she was collecting social points for dating someone inferior. Her attitude said, "Look how charitable I am. I'm dating this average guy." She started posting fewer pictures of us, and when she did, I was usually cropped out or barely visible. Her Instagram was all about her outfits, her adventures. I became background noise in her curated life. One day, I noticed that out of her last 50 posts, I was in 3, and in 2 of those, only part of my shoulder was visible. Things really changed about 6 months ago. Madeline got a promotion and started hanging out with a different crowd. When I'd ask if I could come along, she'd say, "Oh, you wouldn't like it. It's all industry gossip." I started to wonder if she was ashamed of me. I was advancing in my career too. I'd been promoted twice that year and was making good money, but it wasn't Instagram-worthy money. When I tried to tell her about a difficult project I'd completed, she'd nod distractedly and change the subject to her latest campaign or client dinner. My friends started noticing things too. Mason, my best friend, asked me at a barbecue if everything was okay between Madeline and me. "She just seems distant when you guys are together. Like she's here, but her mind is somewhere else." I defended her, of course, making excuses about work stress, but I knew he was right. Even when we were alone, I felt like she was performing. The breaking point came at her friend Sabrina's birthday party last month. Sabrina is one of those people who throws extravagant themed parties just so everyone can dress up and take pictures. This one was Great Gatsby themed, so I rented a tuxedo and showed up feeling pretty good about myself. The party was on a downtown rooftop, filled with beautiful people sipping expensive cocktails and posing. I knew maybe 3 people there besides Madeline, so I mostly stuck to the background, trying to blend in. Madeline was in her element, gliding through the room in a stunning gold dress that probably cost more than my monthly rent. I watched her from across the room, laughing and chatting with people I didn't know, completely in her element. There was an energy about her when she was with her crowd that I rarely saw when we were alone. She was animated, confident, magnetic, in a way that reminded me why I fell for her in the first place. I was standing by the bar, nursing a whiskey and watching her hold court with a group of her coworkers when I overheard something that changed everything. Sabrina was talking to another woman I didn't recognize, and they were looking in my direction. I just don't get it, the other woman was saying. Madeline could literally have anyone she wants. Why is she with that guy? Sabrina shrugged. I wonder the same thing. She's way too attractive for him. I mean, he seems like a nice guy, but come on. Look at her. Then look at him. They weren't trying to be cruel. They were just stating what they saw as obvious facts. And maybe they were right. Maybe I was punching above my weight. Maybe Madeline was too attractive for me. But hearing it like that, so casually, as if I weren't even a real person, hurt more than I expected. A third woman joined their conversation, someone I recognized as another of Madeline's coworkers. I think she likes being with someone who doesn't challenge her, she said. You know how she is. She needs to be the star of the relationship. That comment was different. It wasn't just about looks anymore. It was about our dynamic, about how Madeline needed to feel superior in the relationship to be comfortable. I was still processing that when Madeline appeared at my side. She'd clearly had a few drinks and was in one of her very touchy-feely, dramatic moods. Are you having fun, baby? She asked, leaning against me. But there was something theatrical about it, like she was performing for the people around us. Yeah, great party, I said, trying to keep my tone neutral. Then she said it, the thing that ended our relationship right then and there, though neither of us knew it yet. You know, she said, loud enough for several people around us to hear. I was just talking to Mitchell over there. She pointed to some guy in a ridiculously expensive suit who looked like he'd walked out of a cologne ad. And he said the funniest thing. He said he couldn't believe I was still with you because I'm so obviously too attractive for you. She laughed like this was the most hilarious thing in the world. I told him everyone says that, but I like having someone who appreciates me, you know? Someone who's just grateful to be here. The group around us chuckled, that awkward laugh people do when someone tells a joke that isn't really funny. I could feel all their eyes on me, waiting for my reaction. Some looked embarrassed for me. Others looked like they were waiting to see if I'd laugh along or get angry. I could have gotten mad. I could have made a scene. I could have walked out. But instead, I just looked at her and said the one thing no one apparently expected. They're right. The laughter stopped. Madeline's smile faltered. The entire group went silent. What? They're right, I repeated more clearly. You are too attractive for me. Everyone says so. And you know what? Maybe they have a point. I wasn't being sarcastic or trying to hurt her. I was just tired. Tired of being the consolation prize in my own relationship. Tired of being treated like I should be grateful for scraps of attention from someone who clearly thought she was doing me a favor. Madeline stared at me like I'd grown a second head. Jacob, what are you saying? I'm saying maybe this has run its course, I said calmly. If you're too attractive for me and everyone believes it, then maybe you should find someone who's on your level. The color drained from her face. You're breaking up with me? Here, I'm agreeing with you, I said. And everyone else. You apparently deserve someone on your level. I could see people around us trying to pretend they weren't listening, but the whole area had gone quiet. This was, without a doubt, going to be the story everyone told from this party. I saw Mitchell watching from a distance with an uncomfortable look on his face, probably realizing he'd unintentionally started some drama. Jacob, I didn't mean it like that, Madeline said, her voice high-pitched. I was just joking. You know I love you. But that was the problem. I wasn't sure she did love me, at least not in the way I deserved to be loved. She loved having me around as proof of how generous and down-to-earth she was. She liked having someone who would bend over backward to make her happy. But she didn't love me, Jacob, the person. I know, I said. But I think we both know this isn't working. I finished my drink, set the glass on the bar, and turned toward the exit. As I walked through the crowd, I could hear murmurs behind me, people already starting to dissect what had just happened. My phone started vibrating before I even hit the street. Madeline calling, then texts, then more calls. I turned it off and went home. The next few days were rough. Madeline kept trying to contact me, alternating between apologies and accusations. She'd send texts like, I can't believe you're throwing away 2.5 years over one stupid comment, followed a minute later by, you're being way too sensitive. It was obviously a joke. My voicemail was full of increasingly desperate messages from her. In one, she was crying, saying she'd made a mistake. In another, she was angry, accusing me of being dramatic and overreacting. That emotional seesaw was exhausting, even from a distance. I didn't respond to any of it. What was the point? She had already shown me exactly how she saw our relationship, and I couldn't unsee it. My friends started reaching out too. Apparently, word of the party incident had made its way to them. Mason called me the next day. "Dude, I heard what happened with Madeline," he said. "You okay?" "Yeah, actually. I am," I replied, and I realized I meant it. "Good for you, man. Honestly, we were all kind of worried about how she's been treating you lately. None of us wanted to say anything, but what? She's been pretty condescending when you're not around. She'd make comments about how you're not really her type, but you're sweet, or that you're like practice for when she finds someone more on her level. We all thought it was messed up. Knowing my friends had seen this and felt bad for me was almost worse than not knowing. But it also confirmed I wasn't just imagining things or being too sensitive. A week after the party, Madeline showed up at my apartment. I almost didn't open the door, but I figured we had to have this conversation sooner or later. She looked terrible. Her normally perfect makeup was smudged. Her hair was messier than I'd ever seen it, and she was wearing a sweatshirt and sweatpants instead of her typical designer outfit. It was as jarring to see her so undone as seeing a magazine model without Photoshop. "Jacob, please," she said as soon as I opened the door. "Can we talk?" I let her in, mainly because I didn't want to have this conversation in the hallway where my neighbors could hear. "I messed up," she said immediately. "I know I messed up. That comment at the party was stupid and cruel. I'm sorry. I didn't mean it." "You did mean it," I said quietly. "And that's okay. You meant it because it's what you really feel. You've always felt it." "That's not true," she protested, but her voice had no conviction. "Madeline, be honest. When was the last time you introduced me to someone without making some kind of comment about how I'm not your usual type, or how looks aren't everything, or how you like me because I'm different from the guys you usually date?" She opened her mouth to argue, then closed it. "When was the last time you posted a picture of us on Instagram? When was the last time you seemed genuinely proud to be with me, instead of proud of yourself for being with me?" "I am proud to be with you," she said. But it sounded hollow. "No, you're not. And that's fine. You don't have to be. But I deserve to be with someone who is." We talked for another hour, going in circles. She kept apologizing, and I kept telling her I forgave her because I did. I wasn't angry anymore. I was just done. She tried different tactics. Tears, promises to change, even trying to make me jealous by mentioning other men who were interested in her. "Mitchell asked me out. You know," she said at one point. "After the party. I could have said yes, but I want to fix things with you. You should go out with Mitchell," I said. "He seems more your type." That was not the response she was expecting. When she left, I felt something I hadn't felt in months: relief. Like I'd been holding my breath for 2.5 years and could finally exhale. The next few weeks were surprisingly good. I focused on work, hit the gym more, and started hanging out with friends I'd neglected while trying to keep up with Madeline's social calendar. My friend Travis invited me to a poker night I'd been missing for months because Madeline always had some event we needed to go to. "It's good to have you back, man," Travis said during a break in the game. "We missed you." Madeline wasn't a fan of poker night, I admitted. "Yeah, we figured. She always seemed to have something else planned whenever we invited you." I also started therapy, not because I was broken, but because I wanted to understand how I'd gotten so comfortable being treated like a consolation prize. My therapist helped me see that I had been so grateful for Madeline's attention that I accepted being treated poorly. "You were operating from a place of gratitude instead of an expectation of respect," she said in one session. "There's a difference between appreciating your partner and feeling like you owe them something for being with you." It was a revelation. I had been acting grateful, constantly trying to prove I was worthy of Madeline's time instead of expecting her to value me as an equal partner. "Think about it this way," my doctor continued. "In a healthy relationship, both people should feel lucky to be together, not one person feeling grateful while the other acts like they're doing charity work." We spent several sessions unpacking my tendency to undervalue myself in relationships. She helped me see that this pattern probably started long before Madeline, maybe back in high school when I was more focused on academics than social status. "You've been operating under the assumption that love is something you have to earn through constant effort," she said. "But real love isn't transactional. It isn't about proving your worth over and over. About 2 months after the breakup, I was at a coffee shop near my office when I met Natalie. She was at the table next to mine, working on her laptop, and her coffee spilled all over her papers. I offered her some napkins, and we started talking. Natalie is a pediatric nurse at the downtown children's hospital. She's beautiful, but in a completely different way than Madeline. Where Madeline was all sharp angles and calculated perfection, Natalie has a warm, natural beauty that doesn't need Instagram filters or designer clothes. She was wearing her scrubs and her hair was up in a messy bun. But there was something about her that just drew me in. "Thank you so much," she said, dabbing at the papers. "I'm a disaster today. I was late for work, I spilled coffee everywhere, and I think I forgot to feed my cat this morning." I laughed. "Sounds like you're having a day." "The worst," she said, but she was smiling. "I'm Natalie, by the way. Professional coffee spiller and amateur cat neglector." Her self-deprecating humor was a breath of fresh air after months of Madeline's carefully constructed perfection. We started with just coffee dates, then dinners, then longer conversations that stretched late into the night. The thing that struck me most about Natalie was how she treated me. She was genuinely interested in my work, asking thoughtful questions about my projects and never once making me feel like I had to be anyone other than who I was. "You're so passionate about this," she said one night as I was explaining a particularly complex coding problem I was working on. "I love seeing people get excited about what they do. My ex used to act like my job was boring, but I think it's fascinating how you can create something out of nothing with code." It was a simple comment, but it struck me how different it felt from Madeline's eye rolls whenever I mentioned anything work-related. Natalie and I took things slow. After my experience with Madeline, I was a bit gun-shy about relationships, but Natalie was patient. She never pushed for steps I wasn't ready to take. We had been seeing each other for about a month when she asked about my last relationship. It ended badly, I told her. She made it pretty clear she thought she was out of my league. Natalie frowned, genuinely confused. "That's ridiculous. What kind of person says something like that to someone they supposedly care about?" "Someone who believes it," I said. "Well, she was wrong," Natalie said firmly. "And kind of a jerk, if you ask me." That's when I knew I was starting to fall for her. Not just because she defended me, but because she seemed sincerely unable to comprehend why someone would treat their partner that way. It wasn't even a debate for her. We'd been dating for about 6 weeks when the incident happened that changed everything. Natalie and I were at an art gallery opening for a friend of hers. It was a much more low-key event than the things Madeline used to drag me to, but I was really enjoying it. The art was from local artists, mostly paintings and photographs, and Natalie knew the stories behind several of the pieces. She was telling me about her friend's journey as an artist as we looked at a series of photos of children playing. "Sabrina started taking pictures in the pediatric ward where I work," Natalie was saying. "These kids are dealing with such hard things, but they still find ways to be joyful. It's beautiful." We were looking at a painting, discussing what we thought it meant, when I heard a familiar voice behind me. "Jacob." I turned around, and there was Madeline, looking absolutely stunning in a black cocktail dress and heels that probably cost more than Natalie's monthly salary. But for the first time since I'd met her, her beauty felt calculated, performative. Standing next to Natalie, in her simple blue dress and cardigan, Madeline just looked like she was trying too hard. "Madeline," I said, keeping my voice neutral. "How are you?" Her eyes went straight to Natalie, and I saw something flash across her face. Surprise, maybe even shock. I could practically see her brain working, trying to figure out who this woman was and why I was with her. "I'm fine," she said, but she was clearly flustered. "I didn't expect to see you here. Natalie's friend is the artist," I explained. "Natalie, this is Madeline. My ex-girlfriend. Madeline, this is Natalie." Natalie smiled warmly and held out her hand. "It's so nice to meet you, Madeline. Jacob's told me so much about you." It was a lie. I'd barely mentioned Madeline to her, but it was the polite thing to say. Madeline shook her hand, but I could see her mind racing, processing what she was seeing. I knew exactly what she was thinking. It was like I could see the calculus happening behind her eyes. Natalie was beautiful, yes, but more than that, she had a natural, effortless grace about her. She looked like she belonged anywhere, not because she was trying to fit in, but because she was comfortable in her own skin. "Well," Madeline said after a moment, "I should get back to my friends." "Nice to meet you, Natalie." She walked away, but I saw her glance back at us several times throughout the night. At one point, I saw her talking animatedly to a group of people, gesturing in our direction. I could only imagine what she was saying. Natalie and I didn't talk much about the encounter that night, but I could tell she was curious. She seems intense, was all she said. That's one way to put it, I replied. The next morning, I woke up to 17 missed calls and about 30 text messages from Madeline. The calls started around 2 a.m. and continued until 6 a.m. The texts were all variations on a theme. She needed to talk to me. It was important. Please call her. The messages got more and more desperate as the night wore on. Jacob, we need to talk. Please call me. I can't stop thinking about seeing you tonight. She's not right for you. I know I made a mistake, but we belong together. You know that. Please don't ignore me. I love you. She doesn't even dress well. Is that what you want? I ignored them and went to work, but she kept calling and texting all day. Finally, around lunchtime, I sent a single text back. If this is an emergency, call 911. If not, please stop contacting me. Her reply was immediate. It is an emergency. I made the biggest mistake of my life. Please, Jacob, just talk to me. I showed the text to Natalie when I picked her up for dinner that night. Yikes, she said. Should I be worried? No, I said. She's just having a hard time accepting that I've moved on. But it got worse. Over the next few days, Madeline ramped up her attempts to contact me. She called my office, sent flowers to my apartment, and even started reaching out to my friends on social media, asking them to convince me to talk to her. The flowers came with a note. Jacob, I know I hurt you, and I'm sorry. I realize now what I lost. Please give me a chance to explain. I love you, and I think you love me too. We can fix this. I threw the flowers out and didn't reply. My coworker Bailey mentioned that someone had been calling the office asking for me. She sounded pretty upset, Bailey said. Kept insisting it was important that she talk to you. I told her you were in meetings all day. Thanks for running interference, I said. It's my ex. She's having trouble accepting it's over. Then she started showing up places. First at my gym, then at the coffee shop I went to most mornings, then outside my office building. She wasn't aggressive or threatening, just present. Always dressed to the nines. Always acting like she was on a stage. I was just in the neighborhood, she'd say when she ran into me. How are you? You look good. I was polite but firm. I'm good, Madeline. Hope you are too. I miss you, she said during one of these encounters. I miss us. You don't miss what we had, I said honestly. I don't miss it. That seemed to shock her more than anything else I could have said. She looked at me like I'd spoken a foreign language. How can you say that? She asked. We were good together. We had something special. We had something complicated, I said. But not special. The final breaking point came about 3 weeks later. Natalie and I were having dinner at an Italian restaurant downtown when Madeline showed up. This time, it wasn't a coincidence. She walked straight to our table like she'd been looking for us. Jacob, she said, completely ignoring Natalie. I need to talk to you. Madeline, this isn't appropriate, I said. Natalie and I are having dinner. It'll just take a minute, she said. And then she did something that made me lose any shred of sympathy I had left for her. She sat down at our table, in the empty chair next to Natalie, and started talking as if Natalie didn't exist. I've been doing a lot of thinking about what happened between us, she said. I know I said some hurtful things, but I was scared. Scared of how much I loved you, scared of getting hurt. I pushed you away because I was afraid of being vulnerable. Natalie looked at me, her eyebrows raised, clearly wondering what she should do. I could see other diners at nearby tables starting to notice the scene. Madeline, I said firmly, you need to leave now. Just listen to me, she pleaded. I know I can be difficult, but we were good together. You brought out the best in me. And I know I can be better. I know I can treat you the way you deserve. You had 2.5 years to treat me the way I deserved, I said. I was immature, she said. I took you for granted. But I've grown up. I realized what I had. That's when Natalie spoke up, her voice quiet but firm. Excuse me, she said to Madeline. I think you should go now. Madeline turned to her as if she'd just remembered she was there. I'm sorry, but Jacob and I have history, she said dismissively. This doesn't really concern you. It actually does concern me, Natalie said. Because Jacob is my boyfriend now, and you're making him uncomfortable. And me, for that matter. Something in Madeline's expression shifted. She looked between me and Natalie, and I could see the reality of the situation finally starting to sink in. Your boyfriend? She repeated. Yes, Natalie said simply. Madeline's composure finally cracked. Jacob, you can't be serious. She gestured toward Natalie as if she were something distasteful. After what we had. What we had wasn't good, Madeline, I said. It wasn't healthy. And yes, I'm serious about Natalie. But she's so. Madeline searched for the word. So. Ordinary. Natalie laughed. A real, actual laugh. Thanks, she said. I'd rather be ordinary than cruel any day. That shut Madeline up for a moment. Jacob, she said, her voice desperate now. You know we belong together. You know what we had was special. What we had was you treating me like I should be grateful for your attention, I said. What I have with Natalie is someone who actually respects me. Madeline's eyes filled with tears. I do respect you, she said. No, you don't. You never did. And that's why this, I gestured between the two of us, is never going to happen again. She stood there for a few more seconds, tears streaming down her face. Then she stood up abruptly and walked out of the restaurant. Natalie and I sat in silence for a moment. Well, she said finally. That was intense. I'm sorry, I said. I should have handled that better. You handled it just fine, Natalie said. Though I do have to ask what she meant when she said I was so ordinary. Because from where I'm sitting, you're pretty extraordinary. It was then that I knew I was completely in love with her. After the restaurant incident, Madeline's attempts to contact me became more erratic and desperate. She'd send long emails at all hours of the night, describing everything she missed about our relationship and all the things she would do differently if I gave her another chance. One of the emails was particularly telling. Jacob, I know I said you weren't good enough for me, but I was wrong. You were too good for me. I see that now. I see how happy you are with her, and it kills me because I know I had that, and I threw it away. I know I don't deserve another chance, but I'm begging for one anyway. I'll do anything. I'll be whoever you want me to be. Please don't give up on us. Reading it, I felt a sense of sadness for her, but also relief. She still didn't get it. She was willing to be whoever I wanted her to be, but what I wanted was someone who was comfortable being herself, someone who didn't think love was a performance or a favor or a scrap of attention. I didn't reply to that email or any of the others. I saved them in a folder in case I ever needed them, but I didn't engage. Natalie and I kept dating, and things only got better. She met my friends, and they adored her. She took a genuine interest in their lives, remembered details about their jobs and relationships, and made an effort to connect. When I took her to my company holiday party, she fit in seamlessly, asking thoughtful questions, making everyone feel at ease. Your girlfriend is awesome, my coworker Dylan told me. She actually listened when I explained what I'm working on. Most people's eyes just glaze over when I start talking about databases. That was the difference. Natalie didn't see my job, my friends, or my interests as things to be tolerated. She saw them as parts of me worth getting to know. My parents adored her too. When I brought her over for Sunday dinner, she helped my mom in the kitchen without being asked and spent an hour looking through old photo albums with my dad, listening to his stories about my childhood with real interest. She's a keeper, my mom whispered to me while Natalie was helping clear the table. She actually cares about you, not just about being seen with you. About 4 months after Natalie and I started dating, we ran into Madeline one last time. We were at a farmer's market on a Saturday morning, wandering through the stalls and enjoying the sunshine when I saw her in the crowd. She saw us too, and for a moment, I thought she might approach us again. But this time, she just watched from a distance. Natalie was laughing at something I said, completely relaxed and natural, and I had my arm around her waist. We looked happy because we were happy. Madeline watched us for a few minutes, just staring, and then she turned and walked away. She was with some guy I didn't recognize, tall and well-dressed, the kind of person she always said was more her type. But she didn't look happy. She looked empty somehow, like she was just going through the motions. Comment. So, what's the real takeaway from my story? It's a powerful reminder that your self-worth should never be up for negotiation. You don't have to be grateful for love. You deserve to be genuinely respected and cherished for exactly who you are. Sometimes, the bravest thing you can do is walk away from what looks good on the outside to find what truly feels right on the inside. Ultimately, the right person won't make you question your value. They'll They'll make you see it more clearly. If you like the stories, don't forget to leave a comment and support the channel by subscribing. See you in the upcoming stories.